welcome to another episode of the Rise Project podcast. My name is Ingi Vívill and I'm your host. And in this series we interview the owners of small businesses in Iceland that share the common thread of being foreign nationals and living in Iceland and running a business here. And today we have with us Aurora, rightly said, who owns and runs Sweet Aurore, which is well, I don't even know the terminology here. I would have liked to say a bakery, but we just discussed downstairs that that is most definitely not the issue.
It's more like a fine French pastry shop.
Yeah, like an artisan French pastry shop. Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. But like we were like, where does one go from living in Paris, working in the finest of French pastry restaurants, to taking the decision to off to Iceland?
Well, I'm from northwest of France, actually, not from Paris, and more like kind of a countryside area. I did my studies for culinary arts in south of France, in POP-UP school, and then I did most of my career in Paris. I stayed there for like about 12 years.
Wow.
And 12 years is quite a long time in a big city like Paris, and I learned so much, and I really had a lot of fun evolving in the food industry, but I really wanted to start my own thing at some point and to work abroad as well. I'm from a family where everyone has been working abroad for a very long time, and I was the last one at some point who had been just in France. And Iceland was in my top 3 countries that I wanted to move into, because I had a thing for Nordic countries. And I actually came here for the first time like 10 years ago for a horse riding trip. And I really fell for the country. And I got in touch with Gislimat, the owner of Skalin Slippudin, and he got me a job at Slippudin, and that's how I got to move to Iceland for the beginning, 3 years ago.
That's very interesting. So like 3 years ago you moved to Iceland and started working at Slippudin. And I imagine that, I mean, your craft is not really, I mean, we do have the Icelandic snúður with glasur, which is by all measurements a delicacy, but I mean, it must have been like it must have been something quite new for the market here to be introduced to the craftsmanship that you do, right?
Yeah, I actually took the time when I was working in few places before I opened the company to study the market and see if this would work here. And I studied the competition a little bit, and I thought there was really a market for French pastry, and there's also a big French community in Iceland that was kind of eager to get something like this. There are a few places that do a really good job in a very similar kind of craft, but I'm really focusing on French pastry here, and I try also to have like some Icelandic twists to my pastries. For example, I try to work in the summer with all the white herbs like Arctic thyme, angelica, and chervil, and the berries as well. So I'm trying to do like a little mix and match of French culture and Icelandic culture.
But when do you then start like your company, the firm Sweet Aurore, and like could you take us a bit through that journey?
Yeah. So the idea of getting my own pastry shop was the whole plan before I moved to Iceland, but I needed some time because I didn't know anyone but one person in Iceland, so I really moved on my own. So it took me some time to get to know the right people in the industry and help me figure out how things work here, paper-wise and everything, because it's very different from home when it comes to like a business openings. And I never opened a business on my own before Iceland. I helped in pastry shop openings as a sous chef, but not as a business owner. So it's a whole different level. And
you think there's a big difference between the whole two of being on the sideline or being the actual captain on the ship?
Yeah, no, it's really different. For example, the last place I did the opening for was a KL Patisserie in Paris, and the head chef and owner is Kevin Lacotte. And I was his sous chef at the time, and it's always really rough to do openings because there's always all those things that you're not prepared for, all the things that just go wrong when it comes to if it's financial or construction, especially if you do everything from the start. And now I understand so much his stress at the opening and all the things that I couldn't see behind the curtains when it comes to all the paperwork, the licenses, the investors, the financial parts that I couldn't see from my side when I was just focusing on managing a team and getting a menu ready and prep and everything. Just for more like the handwork. So now I realize this since I'm on the other side of this. But yeah, it's pretty much after the kind of COVID wave thing when a lot of businesses went down and places were just firing people because they couldn't afford anymore because everything was just going down. I thought, okay, maybe this is the time to think about this project. And this was in winter 2020. And the company is legally existing since like almost a year now, because it just took me some time to get into knowing all the process of just opening a company. And I also got in touch with some people who helped me meet the right persons to point me in the right directions, and I got into the Carolina Fund.
Oh yeah, you started with Carolina Fund.
Yeah, that gave me a good kickstart to be able to buy equipment, pay the health license and all those like little startup costs. And it worked really well. We managed to get the minimum target, and it did a lot of noise also in the newspapers. I had like 3 articles in Flytablaðið, MBL and Veti Gagarin. So,
and I mean, I think that's like one of the beautiful things around using Carolina Fund, because it has such a strong promotional value. You generate a lot of buzz about your project, and people are excited to like take part in it. But also, just people like a big part of the general public are really interested in seeing projects coming to life, and you know, in their own small way, be these micro angel investors kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, kind of. So they technically invest in your company, and they have a reward, and the rewards I was giving were like whether pastry classes or cakes or hot chocolates, depending on the value they were donating. And now, I mean, I thought I would be able to give the rewards when I would open the shop, but I see that this is taking much longer than planned to have a physical shop. So even if I'm still doing only like online orders in collaboration, I'm starting to give the rewards right now and like and meet my Carolina Fund donators.
Yeah, and this can take a tremendous amount of time, because like I speak from my experience that startups and starting a business, however you may do it, the timeline can be so unpredictable. Like all of a sudden 1 month turned to 2 months, which is then all of a sudden a year, and you're like, be patient, please, you know. But you said that I wanted to ask you a bit about, because you said that through Carolina Fund you were able to meet some of the costs that were associated with starting a business in the food industry in Iceland. And you mentioned that there were a lot of like hindrances and waiting, and like a lot of things that need to be taken care of and looked at. And you're not the first person to come on this podcast and say like everything is so slow, it takes so much time, so many things to. So could you tell me a bit about like your experience like around like the permits and like all of that stuff? Like,
so I don't have the physical shop yet, so I think I'm not even on that level of like permit issues. But to be able to produce food, you need to get a licensed kitchen and go through a whole process of having a quality manual that you work with the health department. And that took me almost up to a year to get this. And I'm producing everything in Elstadið. It's a licensed kitchen in Kópavogur that's shared with different producers.
Yeah, you're like Elstadið. It's like like a shared
Professional
industrial
kitchen. Yeah, yeah. And
That's so cool.
Eva Mikkelsen, she's running it.
Yeah.
She's an accountant and also a business owner, and,
Yeah.
and working with like she's doing also like confectionery, chocolates and things. And she's always helping a lot all the producers that she's taking in to work in her kitchen, because she knows all the process of all the health department. So she's been a huge help, and also it's nice to have other business owners who've been through this process before and can just like help you with like understanding how this is done, because I feel like every case is different because nobody produces the same food. And most of the producers there also, they don't have a store. They usually sell in stores like a Hookup or Melabudin or other ways. And my goal is to have my own store at some point. So this is for me more like a temporary situation until the day I can have my own place. But it's true. I also did like the Christmas market last Christmas, and you also need like a different license for those things. But if you have help of someone who already has like a foot in this kind of situation, like they had the experience of getting those permits before, it really makes things faster. I think if I had been on my own without Eva, for example, it would have taken me like 2 years. I don't know. It's just everything is in Icelandic as well. So when you're a foreigner, it's a little hard to go through all that translation and everything.
Okay, so like the material that you need to access, is this all in Icelandic? Me myself, I haven't started in the food industry, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, for example, when you work on it's really like a paperwork stuff, but for the quality manual for the health department, all the things are in Icelandic, but with modern computers now you can like Google Translate everything, but it's not always completely accurate, but it still takes a little more time.
Yeah. Well, this one goes out to the minister. If you're watching, this needs to get fixed. But yeah, but you were talking about Elstæðið in Kópavogur, but and like having access to all of the knowledge of the people that have walked this path before you. But I have also, from my experience, it is so important when you're an entrepreneur and working in an entrepreneurial craft to have company, because like if you spend too much time alone, you get weird fast. You know.
Well, yeah, I managed to surround myself with some good friends since I've been living here for 3 years, and I think all of them are from the food industry, actually. Yeah. And yeah, also Elstæðið is like a little family kind of, and everybody is on the same team and just helping one another with their promotion as well. And like Eva and some other producers from there, they gave me some tips about maybe collaborations that could be possible. And like for example, right now I'm talking with the Melabudin owners to be able to sell in their shop maybe this year. So yeah, all those things are kind of possible with the help of people that I'm kind of working with, like besides with.
I think that's very interesting, because like you said, at current point you don't have a physical location for your shop where people can walk in. Like, what has your outreach program been? Like, how do you, because from the looks of your social medias, you're producing a lot of pastry. Like, how are you getting them out? Like, where are your sales channels? And
well, I do have some collaborations with coffee shops and restaurants. And
okay, so you sell directly to coffee shops?
To some places, yeah. And to some stores, and I'm trying to get more into that, to reach out more people who don't know already my brand. And I also give classes on Sundays. I do some seminars about a French pastry, and I do pop-ups every Saturday for now. And I am trying to get a pop-up store for the summer, so I'm looking for a location right now to be able to do like a ephemeral store for like 3 months. And it would be kind of like a crash test to see how the future shop would run, if this is, how could I manage financially as well, if I can sort things out for 3 months when it's going to be pretty busy, usually because the tourists are coming back. It's getting really busy downtown. And if this would go well, I would like to extend and try to to keep it over the winter. But I would still produce everything in Elstadith and just like sell in a different location and have like this kind of like little coffee shop vibe with some hot drinks and have my fresh pastries and some like shelf products as well.
Okay.
Because I want to do much more than what I just expose on the website. And it's just, since I don't have like a physical shop like I was saying earlier, I'm a bit limited in the products that I can sell right now.
Yeah, I can imagine, because like the food industry is, from what I've gathered, heavily regulated in terms of if you want to produce your products in one place, there's like a whole gamut of regulations that you need to fulfill. So I imagine that like doing it in that way, producing in one place and selling in another, probably lightens the whole procedure.
It just gets actually more expensive, because if you were to produce and sell at the same place, you wouldn't need to have 2 licenses. You just have pretty much one. But if I am to produce in one place and then sell in another one, I just need to have like more permits added to one another, and also more rental contracts as well. So this is like it's like fake it till you make it. So until I have my own shop, I'm just gonna try to do tricks like this. If I can't produce and sell at the same spot, I'm just gonna try to find somewhere until I have my future place. It's just I don't have the finances right now to be able to rent a whole space with the kitchen and everything. And I'm alone in this company, so I can't really count on someone else to help me in that ground. But I'm looking for investors to hopefully help with the process and get something going for next year.
And this is also like, because we mentioned earlier when we were talking prior to the interview that Sweet Aurore is mostly bootstrapped. I mean, what you make is what you have. I mean, and I think that is such an interesting thing, because like I mean, there is a tendency with bootstrappers or people that go the bootstrap way to starting a business, that those businesses are very customer oriented. They are totally focused on the needs of the customer here and now, and like how does the market go. So I think this is an interesting perspective to have into this discussion. I also wanted to ask you about like the more earthbound things about like bookkeeping and like those kind of things. I know I'm starting to think that it's a dreaded question on the episodes, that like, but how do you tackle these things? Do you do some of it self or all of it self, or do you like?
So I'm using an app called Payday with my computer, and it's just like an accounting app, and it's my actually accountant who advised me about it, and for now I'm just doing everything by myself with this app. And it's just from time to time when I don't understand some things, you have like some agents that help you with the app, and I just also contact my accountant. But so far I've been doing everything myself. It's not always fun, but at least I think it's good to know how this works. But I'm sure if I would just let the accountant do everything, I'm sure she would make me save more money at some point. But I like to do everything myself though, and be aware of like what's going on behind the curtain, and just
And like I can totally vouch for that. Like I think Payday is a great app. I use it myself for my firms, and like I think it takes into account that, I mean, not all people want to learn accounting in depth, but a lot of people want to learn enough, just to understand it, when you talk in terms of advertising and spreading the word, from where, what are your preferred channels in terms of that?
Well, I've noticed that Facebook is quite a big thing in Iceland. Like a lot of communities just go through that. Like for example, in France, when you check the housing market, you don't find apartments through Facebook groups. You have like special websites for this, and here I found out that a lot of things just go through Facebook groups. So I kind of try to aim a lot on this, and I'm actually buying like advertising on Facebook to broadcast on like Instagram and other social medias, all connected. And I also use like articles in newspaper. Like I reach out to some places to maybe like propose to do some like recipes in like a Morgenbladet or things like that. So I mostly did like advertising like that. And the Carolina Fund also helped a lot because it's a really well-built website, and they do share, and it broadcasts pretty well.
Now, with all of the experience that you have gained from your both from doing Carolina Fund, like starting there, and like starting your firm through Elstæðið, and reaching out through various sales channels, like looking back with the experience that you have today, what advice would you give Aurore?
Aurore.
Yeah, a younger Aurore, standing in the place going like, I'm gonna open a shop.
Well, I think you need to surround yourself with people you can really trust, that are gonna support you in the hard times, because there are many. And also with people who already know the food industry, and like the kind of like entrepreneurs who can help you with all those information that maybe took you like months to get and understand, and that you would have saved so much time if you had known those people back then. Yeah, because not all the information is like accessible on internet. If you don't know the exact words for it, it's really not easy to find those things. So you always need to know someone who knows someone. So yeah, I guess I wish I had known those people before to save some time. But yeah, I guess that's what I would recommend to my younger self.
I think those are nice last words for this interview. Thank you for coming on the show, Aurore.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to check out Sweet Aurore on Facebook and Instagram and every other medium that you find. And last but not least, check them out in person for the next pop-up. They would find the information on
the website.
On the website.
And social media as well.
And the social media. So thanks for this time, and see you next time.